Gabriel Folter also asked what instructions have been offered by the BBC to staff over attending the march. The failure of Match of the Day host Gary Lineker and London Mayor Sadiq Khan to attend Sunday's anti-Semitism march in London has been criticised by one of the event's organisers. Gideon Folter, chief executive of the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism, was speaking after thousands took to the streets of the capital on Sunday for a demonstration which finished with a rally in Parliament Square. Numerous high-profile names took part, including Countdown host Rachel Riley, actors Eddie Marsan and Maureen Lipman and radio host Vanessa Feltz. However, former Spurs and England star Lineker did not, Mr. Folter pointed out. He told GB News, "Where was Gary Lineker? Gary Lineker keeps telling us, he's one of many people, who says he stands against all forms of racism. We had 105,000 people on the march yesterday. It was the biggest gathering against anti-Semitism in this country since the Battle of Cable Street in 1936, when Londoners stood side by side with Jews and fought off Sir Oswald Mosley's British Union of Fascists." Mr. Folter added, "It was a big event and it was so heartwarming to see Londoners and people from all over the country turn up, and I did wonder where Gary Lineker was and a few other people who claimed to be against all forms of racism." Former PM Boris Johnson, who also served as Mayor of London from 2008 to 2016, was another high-profile name who took part, but City Hall successor Mr. Khan did not. Mr. Folter commented, "It is curious. There's been a 1,350% rise in anti-Semitic crime in London, and Sadiq Khan, by virtue of being Mayor of London, is essentially the Police and Crime Commissioner for London. It is curious that he didn't find the time to be there on Sunday. It did cross my mind. It's something that seems to happen with hatred of Jews that doesn't seem to happen with other forms of hatred." Mr. Folter also questioned what advice had been offered by BBC staff, explaining, "You have this extraordinary story that the BBC had told staff that they shouldn't go on this march because it might be political, and then they later backtracked and said we didn't tell staff anything. We just told them they shouldn't go on any marches. I'm pretty sure they weren't saying that, for example, during Black Lives Matter. So there is this strange idea among some people that fighting anti-Semitism, standing up to hatred of Jews, is a kind of racism and is in some way political. I'd love for them to explain how on earth they think that is political. That has a real life." Offering a tangible example, Mr. Folter added, "I was in the office, it was about midnight, we'd all been working really hard the last few weeks since the October 7th massacre, and what we found, for example, was someone posting a picture on Facebook saying, 'Jews, not Israelis, have just bombed a hospital in Gaza.' The next post was a picture of some knives, and the next said there aren't going to be any Jews walking alive in London because he's going to go and behead." We obviously call that into counter-terrorism, but that is a very direct consequence of someone watching the news, seeing this incorrect reporting, getting absolutely incensed and deciding that they are going to commit acts of violence. That is absolute. Neither Lineker nor Mr. Khan attended the pro-Palestine march which took place in London on Saturday.